How's it going, everybody? I am Jeff Hoke here with Kevin Perdios, and we got Chris Henrique on the road on his way home from his work in Massachusetts right now. This is episode 7 of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guy Sports, sponsored by, as always, Shocked Energy. Ever feel unable to focus, tired, or just low on energy? We understand that feeling. We understand it so well that Shorthanded Takes is brought to you by Couch Guy Sports Network. And as I said, sponsored by our friends at Shocked Energy. Shocked Energy is a drink made by gamers for gamers. Head over to shockedenergy.com and use our promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. That's CGSN for 10% off your order. Check out their green apple flavored box or even their watermelon flavored box. And don't worry, they ship worldwide. Get your Shocked Energy today and let us help you gain your focus and energy back. That is CGSN for your 10% off. So, guys, how are we doing today? Chris, I know you have had a fun night and you're on your way home from work right now. Kevin is obviously nice and cozy in his house right now, and as am I. We ready to roll on this baby?
It's born ready. Let's do it.
You good down there, Chris?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I thought I hit on amateur hour right now.
Oh, you love it. Yeah, okay. So a little bit of a I know I'm gonna start with this. I know Chris gave us his hot take before we left the last show. He was expecting the Bruins to go 3-0 on that stretch of 3 games that there was. The Bruins went 1-2 on that stretch. Now, I was going to put him in the penalty box for this. I was going to give him probably a 5-minute minor, but decided not to this time because he did something that we will discuss in a later podcast. But so a little bit of a rough stretch to start that 3-game stretch. Lost one to Florida and Carolina on back-to-backs, but you were able to get it back on Saturday in a shootout 3-2 against that Florida team. Kevin, any specifics you want to point out in those 3 games before we really dive in?
Specifics, no. I mean, I think on our show notes it said just recap these 3 games, and I'll leave it as simple as we could. It was ugly. Those 3 games were ugly, and to get a little bit more in depth, it's just kind of, you learned a lot from it. You learned a lot from those 3 games. Remember it, take notes on it, and move forward. But, you got to, I know you usually say you build off the good games, but you got to build off those bad ones as well and, focus on what you did poorly and improve on it. It's a long season, but you got to start racking up some points here for sure.
Now, Chris, obviously the losses to Florida and Carolina were both on the road. One of them was a 3-0 loss, a shutout loss to Carolina. The other one was a 4-1. Linus was in net for the Florida. Swayman was in net for Carolina. And Linus was in net for Florida on that Saturday in that shootout win. Do you have anything you want to say about those 3 games? Just a little bit of a recap. I know you said that you were expecting a little bit better. What went wrong in your opinion?
I just don't think they look good defensively. I think that the defense is currently an issue with this team. They didn't get any offense in the shutout against the Hurricanes, but just in general, the defense has been a struggle. I'm happy that Ullmark has been playing relatively well, and he seems to be getting better in each one of his starts. But I am concerned that this team is going to need to address the defense, and maybe a little bit earlier than the norm. I just don't think they have enough depth there. I don't think that they're solid back there. So to me, I follow the defense. I think that needs to be addressed. Needs to be addressed quick.
So we go into this podcast today. Record-wise, the Bruins sit at 4-3. I know Kevin has a few things to say on this. And we discussed it in the text chat a little bit, but given the like Chris said, the defense has been a little bit rough. Those 2 games that they lost, a little bit better in that third game on that Saturday. Obviously, Saturday there was other reasons that they may not have played well, but that's for another segment here in a little while. What is your confidence level, Kevin, right now about this Bruins team 7 games into the season?
Same as it was with the Red Sox 7 games into the season. I know we don't want to cross, but it's early. It's if the season ended after 7 games, the Baltimore Orioles would have won the World Series. So yeah, you got to learn from it. Like I said earlier, you got to, every game matters. All the points matter. It would be nice to get off to a good start, but I think we're just a young team as well, and there was a lot of moving parts this offseason. So I think they're just still trying to find their gel and trying to find a way to fit together. And 7 games from now, we could look like a completely different team. So I'm not giving up hope yet. Like it's so early that it's like, dude, take everything with a grain of salt. But I think we are a good team. I really do think we will be in the upper half of this Atlantic Division. But that it's a long year. It's a long year.
Now, Chris, you were now going off of that topic for a second on the confidence level. A little bit of confidence boost that we have seen in those games was Charlie Coyle at that second. I'm sorry, what am I trying to say? At that second line center, and our very own Jamie Gaitlin wrote an article on this and how he's looked very good at that second line center. Has kind of improved a little bit. What is your thoughts on Charlie Coyle? Has he improved at that second line center? Are you feeling a little more confident now with that hole that was taken away by David Krejci?
Yeah, and what I think is I forget which game it was, but what was the game where they showed the highlight? I want to say it was the Hurricanes one where they zoomed in and he's on the bench and he feel like that, but I don't know if it was his mouth guard or he had a mouth sore or something. He looked focused and just dialed in and pissed on the bench. And then just over the course of the week, he seems like he's elevated his game, and I'm not sure exactly if it's different, pairings with him or if it's just one of those where it's like Bobby Dahlbeck, when they went out and the Sox got Schwarber, and every time that Schwarber was either going to play first or impact that plan, maybe close to your point, and like Kevin said, maybe it's just one of those where he's just trying to feel it out. He's now hanging on a meaningful line with the Bruins. It's not anymore where he did that with the Wild. So he just looks better. He just looks confident, and if he can continue with that confidence, I think the Bruins might actually have something with him on that line, and that's going to be a good thing, because I didn't think that he was going to be able to put the pieces together, but I think he gave us some reason over the course of his Bruins tenure to make it feel that way. So typical Boston fashion, we kind of put the cart before the horse, and they kind of freak out. So hopefully he can kind of continue it, because I just feel like he continues to build that confidence.
So it's been a bumpy ride for those 3 games. Obviously, now they have a week off. They had a week off. When this posts on Wednesday, they will play on Thursday against the Detroit Red Wings. Moving on, just around the NHL a little bit here, just around who's who right now. Carolina still undefeated. Carolina is still very, very much good right now. They've been playing outstanding. I think Frederick Anderson is undefeated right now in net, if I remember correctly. If not, he's lost only 1 game. He has a 1 goal average right now. It's just insane. That whole team is just insane right now. I thought losing Dougie Hamilton was going to be a big hit for them, it hasn't, and I've been quite impressed. Kevin, obviously we know the impact that Dougie Hamilton had on that team, and obviously we know the impact that he's having now on that New Jersey team. But I got to think that you felt the same way, that you did not think that they would be this good this early on.
No, I don't know what it is about them. I never give them the proper respects that they deserve. Like, I don't know why, but I always kind of look at Carolina as, yeah, they're just an okay team. Like, they're just all right. But time and time again, they're battling the Bruins in the playoffs. They're contending to win their division. They're, one of the best teams in hockey for a long period of time. I don't know what it is. I just can't fully buy into them, but credit to them. They've been rolling with the punches. Like you said, I'm not a huge Dougie Hamilton guy. I think he's I think he buys into I buy into he's not a locker room guy. And I think in sport like hockey, that's a big component to a good team. So his talent on the ice speaks for itself. Like, he's a very talented player, but I think he's a headache in the locker room, and that causes issues. But Carolina's just been rolling. They've been rolling with, take a guy like Hamilton out of the lineup, we don't miss a beat. And it's crazy to see. It's really crazy to see. The kind of side note, I have one of my friends is a Rangers fan, and we were texting the other day about how he didn't even expect Carolina to be where they are, and because obviously the Rangers are, I think, 2 or 3 points behind Carolina for the lead in the division. But credit to them. They deserve all the credit. They got off to a good start, but like we just said with the Bruins, it's a long season. Hopefully they keep it up, but we'll see.
So let's jump down for a second to another team that has the Bruins have played twice already in the last week, and I'll go to Chris if he's all set and in his house now and comfy and cozy. But we look at Florida. Florida is 8-0-1, so technically they're undefeated, but they're not undefeated. I say they're not undefeated, but however you want to put that, there's no true loss. Florida has been a surprise, obviously, due to circumstances, which we'll talk lightly about here in a little while. Their head coach had to step down. So outside of that, they have 2 good goalies in Spencer Knight and Sergei Bobrovsky. They have a good first line. They have Ekblad. They have, you name it. They have such a good team, Chris. Is it surprising that this team started off so hot and now 8-0-1?
Yeah, I mean, isn't it kind of like a shock that both warm weather, southern teams are doing really well? Like, for considering that hockey obviously is a Canadian and Northeast sport, you kind of equates it to, right? So like, yeah, I think that the Panthers, if you look at their roster, like, they don't really have a superstar. You know what I mean? Like, there's no household NHL name on that roster. I mean, like, if you're a hockey fan, obviously into the sport, you're going to know their names. But if you're just a casual, there's not a true superstar down there in Florida. Their goaltending is superb. I did a little research on Spencer Knight, because you guys were pumping him up a little bit last week. I didn't realize the kid was only 20 years old. You know what I mean? Like, and then we watched a ton of highlights on online after we recorded last week, and I was like, holy crap! Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have, what was he, the 13th pick overall? You know what I mean? So like that's they have the vet plus now a younger player, and just like go through their roster, like legit go through their roster. Like, they have Ekblad, you know what I mean, who I like a lot, but again, not a superstar. They're balanced when it comes from like a scoring standpoint. If you look at their stats, the true thing is going to be like, what is this team going to look like now that there's a change behind the bench? And now that they're their coach had to step down. Is there going to be a change? You know what I mean? Or is this going to be something where they're still going to rally around each other and not let that impact, which I hope it doesn't. I hope that they're able to continue going, because the Panthers has been a special story. They're a good young team. And, I hate seeing warm weather teams do this well, but it also would be good for the sport.
Going out west now, we won't touch much on this one because we know how good this team is. They have McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. They have a star-studded team, and that's the Edmonton Oilers. They're 7-1 right now. They're just dominating. McDavid hasn't missed a beat since last season. That aside, now the one that's kind of surprising to me is the other team that is in first place down over in the West, and that is the St. Louis Blues. 6-1, Kevin, on the season so far. Obviously, home of Torrey Krug now, and we don't talk about that. But they've been in Jordan Binnington, who's just excuse my language, a dick on the ice.
Guy's a tool bag. He's a giant tool bag.
Yeah, he's a massive dick on the ice. He just, I don't understand that man whatsoever. Anyway, that aside, my rant, Kevin, St. Louis Blues, obviously coming off a couple years ago winning the Stanley Cup. Is this a resurgent season for them, or is this just a fluke start to the season?
No, they're a good team. They got talented guys over there. You kind of forget how good Torrey Krug was with us. That's a valuable piece that any of us sitting on this show right now would love to have Torrey Krug back with the Bruins. He does make a difference. So that's another defensive guy that you're adding. So that provides value. And Vladimir Tarasenko he's a beast, so when you have a guy like that caliber, put him around some high quality talent alone, James Neal, I'm sure I'm forgetting about like 4 other guys that are on that team, but they're a talented team. They're legit. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're going to be one of the teams that's there in the end. And say what you want about Binnington. He's
tool bag.
He's a tool. He's a psycho.
He's a dick.
Whatever. And I say this all the time. Any good goalie has to be a little bit tapped. Like, you got to be a little bit nuts.
Yeah, but he's a little more than a little bit nuts. The dude just swings sticks left and right for no reason.
All right, but the dude that just left the Bruins, or I shouldn't say left, the dude that was in the pipes for the Bruins for a while, remember him when he was coming up in Providence? The dude broke like 7 sticks in like 10 games because he got mad about losing a game. So these young guys are just like they're.
Hang on. There's a difference between breaking your stick over the net because you're pissed you're going to lose versus swinging your stick at a player. I don't care who the player was that you swung it at. Like, there's a difference there. And also the fans who were on Twitter who are like crying, complaining, saying that that should have been like an assault or something on there.
Oh, they can fuck right off.
They can rip my ass. Like, I am so tired of like soft fans. Like, he should have swung the stick and almost hit the guy in the head. No. Do we want to see like a Marty McSorley incident all over again? No. But like, come on.
Again, I'll go back. I'll answer all that by what I said on the first episode. The way the NHL is going is bullshit. They need to get the Sean Thorntons back into this game. And period. I know the game is a lot faster. It's not as much physical, but there's still the little pricks out there that need to be put in check sometimes. And when you take those enforcers out of the equation, sometimes, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get the whatever the hell that dude's – why am I blanking on his name that everyone hates?
Evander Kane?
No, not him too. Someone should beat the bag out of that guy. But
if you're going to swing a stick at somebody.
Yeah, but I didn't see – you see this stick being swung. You never know what else actually unfolded. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. You don't swing a stick at someone. But my point is there could be more that unfolded that isn't getting handled because a Sean Thorne-esque player isn't there to, all right, you just took a run at my best player. Now I'm going to beat your face in, you know. But I think they're legit. You know, I do think, going back to our original point before we just go off calling people dicks all day long, the St. Louis Blues will be there in the end. I do. I think they'll be in the conversation, you know, on a deep playoff run.
Speaking of a team that, the opposite of that, speaking of a team that won't be there in the end, we're going to move on down to bottom feeder right now. Bottom feeder in the division that the Bruins are in. That's the Montreal Canadiens. And we were in the group chat the other day. We were talking, and Kevin sent us something that was very mind-boggling to us. But the Canadiens sent down Cole Caulfield, their star-studded rookie that did very well last season in the bubble and did a very good job in the bubble. And it was kind of a surprise that they sent him down. Kevin, I since you're the one that sent it, I'm gonna let you speak first. Why? What's the point of sending Caulfield down here? Is there even a point of doing it?
No. Like I don't see what you're gaining in this. Like I really don't understand. This is, you know, I'm not gonna act like I know I'm the biggest expert on. You know, like in the MLB, they send people down because of service time, and you know, NHL, I'm not really full on that contract stuff, but maybe it could be something like that. And even if that is the case, it's bullshit. I said the same thing about the MLB stuff. When you do that with guys, it's a smart business decision on the organization's part, but as a whole, and as that individual's player's lifestyle, confidence, whatever you want to name it, it's bullshit. It makes no sense that he went down. This kid in a pandemic year carried your team on a playoff run, single-handedly pulled you through the playoffs, where people were like, hold on. Are the Canadiens legit? Are the Canadiens going to make a run at this? Are they going to be in the Stanley Cup? Are they going to win the Stanley Cup? That was the conversation strictly because of him. You know, and now you're still a bottom feeder. What do you have to lose by playing him and letting him continue to get his feet wet for that? You know, as a Bruins fan, you hate to say this, but the Canadiens are going to be back eventually. You know, they're not going to stay in the basement forever. They're going to be back. They're going to get talent in. They're going to find ways to develop and turn into a good hockey team again. And Caulfield's going to be the main reason for that. So are you tanking? Maybe that's kind of my first reaction. You know what? Screw it. We got Caulfield. Let's just kind of mail it in here. I don't know.
And before I go down to Chris, it's hard to tank too, because just like in the NBA, you have a lottery system going. So you're not always guaranteed that first overall pick. And given the fact that the first overall pick in the NHL is never guaranteed like it is in the NBA, it's never a star-studded prospect to start right off their career, not like an Alexei Lafreniere or Sidney Crosby or something like that.
Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel.
Yeah, you name Jack Eichel's
you don't
another
need,
story.
The issue is you don't need to be, you know, you don't need the number one pick. You don't need even if you get a top 5 pick, you know, there's a good chance that's a solid piece. That's a solid addition to the team that you're not dumping assets in to get, you know, so you don't need the number one overall pick, but if you get the number 4 or number 5, you know, number 6, maybe a stretch, that's still helping your team next year. That kid's probably going to step in within the next year and help you. So, yeah, it's hard to do because, you know, at the end of the day, you're professional athletes. You don't want to lose games on purpose or whatever you want to call it, but there's a method, that there's a thought process behind it. There's some logic there. If you like that sort of thing. I hate it. I think it's BS. I don't condone it. And if you do it and get caught doing it on purpose, there should be a penalty or a fine, but that's a whole different story.
So, Chris, before we move on here, they're I think they've just won their second game today. They won 3-0 today. Do you find it viable enough to send him down, given only 9 games in, you've only won 2 games? I mean, it feels like they're doing this a little too early, if it is for the reason of, they're not going to be good this year, but you still want your rookies to get ice time. Why? Who else is on that team that is going to take over his ice time that is better than him?
If you take a look at some of his numbers, he has no goals and 22 shots this season. So I'm sure that has probably something to do with it. Maybe it's how they're using him. He's also was used in the power play and was ineffective on the power play as well. And just because he's getting sent down, I mean, did they say it was going to be, the remainder of the season thing? This could just be something to maybe kind of get his, maybe get him going too. You know what I mean? Like, he's still a young kid. It is wild to think though, that coming into the season, he was a Calder Cup, Calder Rookie of the Year candidate. You know what I mean? So, but I'd have to think that Montreal is probably just trying to get him going a little bit before bringing him back up. So again, kind of comes down to probably the usage, and if they send him down, he kind of gets it going, and maybe he's down there for 15, 20 games, in that ballpark, and he comes back up and he's kind of found a rhythm and groove, and they can use him the right way. I don't see it being as a bad thing. I don't look at it so much as like a detriment right now. I know, if you look at it where like the team, they're struggling and why not let the kids play? I mean, it's fair, but if he's just not performing and, he's not, meeting expectations and elevating his game, then what's the purpose of giving him that ice time? Go down in the system and kind of figure out what's going on.
So, no, it's a very good point. And it was just such a quick move for them to do. And it kind of just came out of nowhere. I wouldn't have seen it if Kevin didn't send it to us. Didn't even really get a lot of airtime, but they didn't get a lot of airtime only because of this next topic. I want to touch very, very lightly on this because it is a very sensitive topic to talk about. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of it because it, like I said, it's very, very sensitive. There's a great article by our very own Heidi Thomas on couchguysports.com. You can go right ahead and read that to get the very in depth with it. But I kind of want to touch on, we talked about Joe Quenneville. He had to step down as the head coach of the Florida Panthers at the time. And that was on Friday before they had to play the Bruins on Saturday. So when he came on Saturday, when they came to town on Saturday, he was not in with the team. He was on the bench on I believe it was Wednesday. He was on the bench Wednesday. Want to touch lightly on it. Kevin, I'll start with you. We all know the reason behind it, the Blackhawks scandal, the whole sexual assaults with Kyle Beach and Quenneville, and the team covering it up because of the fact that, and I quote, they wanted to win championships at the time. That was the 2010 season where they, in fact, did win the 2010 Stanley Cup that year. And now the Cup has the names of those, the general manager, the assistant general manager, the head coach, whoever covered it up is engraved in that cup now. Kevin, I'm going to let you touch on it a little bit, then I'll let Chris touch on it a little bit. I don't want to get too much into it, but I want to at least hear what you guys think about this.
Yeah, I it's like you said, not touching too much on it, but growing up, really once you start diving into the hockey, and understanding how the hockey world works and how it the landscape of it lays out as a fan, I always looked at the Blackhawks as, man, I really want the Bruins to be this team, as a fan, because we don't see the everyday behind the scenes activities or, that goes on behind the curtain, behind closed doors. You look at it and you're like, damn, I really want the Bruins to turn into this. And what I mean by that is Stanley Cups in 10, 13, and 15. They were constantly in the conversation in the playoffs. Are they going to repeat? Are they going to win again? Every other year they're winning a Stanley Cup. And as a fan, as a Bruins fan, you're like, this is what I want the Bruins to be. That juggernaut that's constantly pushing for wins, pushing for championships. Fast forward 7 years, going from their 13 championship or whatever it is. Thank God we are not the Blackhawks. And what I mean by that and why I say that is the two polar opposites of how organizations are run and how the captains within that organization handle business on a day-to-day basis. Bergeron seemed to be the main influence of it, of sitting the entire team down to watch that interview. And to me that's what a true leader should do. You got young guys coming into the locker room. You got young guys kind of trying to make their foot, and they're looking to Bergeron, Marchand, Pasta, Tuca, if he's in the locker room still. The veterans to kind of set an example to set the train going forward, and how the Blackhawks, Taze. I loved Taze until it's like, dude, just shut the fuck up for 1 minute. Like, just shut up. Seriously, shut up. Like, what are you doing? And, it's thank God we're not the Blackhawks, and thank God Patrice Bergeron is in the locker room to kind of steer the young rookies in the right direction and be the forefront of a good role model for these kids. And what happened in Chicago is tragic. I'll leave it at that. It should never happen. It should never be a thing. It should never, this cover up should have epic repercussions. They should, the NHL and Gary Bettman, the weasel that he is, should do something right for once and step in and set an example of this for sure.
So, Chris, we talking about that, obviously everyone saw the Bruins today. It came out, and they Carlo and Bergeron, like Kevin said, came out and made the team watch the Kyle Beach interview and make them learn from it. And it is a learning lesson, teaching lesson for sure. And you look at it now, both the general manager and the assistant general manager are out. They're never going to get a job again, most likely. Joe Quenneville, most likely you'll never see in the league again, or unless it's across overseas. And a lot of people respected Patrick Kane at that time, and like Kevin said, Jonathan Toews, a lot of those players back then, very familiar faces, like you said. If even a casual fan would know these guys. You know these guys because they won so many times, and they were just such prominent names in their household. And now 7 years later, you're learning that, they have a dark secret, and they're covering it up. Very, very horrible thing. I just want to get what your input is on this whole thing. I don't want to get too deep into how it was handled, but obviously it wasn't handled the best way at the time. And, Bettman isn't handling it the best way right now either. There's there was a guy that has been forefronting this whole thing. He works for TSN, I do believe. Westhead, I think is his last name, on Twitter. And he is fantastic at this. He's been doing a fantastic job following this along. And Bettman almost did not let him ask a question at the press conference the other day. And that caused a big uproar.
Weasel.
Just go over what what has happened here and why, and just your input on what has happened. That is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, it's obviously, guys, it's like a heavy thing. You know what I mean? It's not something to take lightly. At first I want to say Heidi's article on that she put out was really good and very detailed, as detailed as you could potentially be based off the information that was known. I actually read not like the whole attachment that she had on there, but a big portion of it, and to just try to get an idea of exactly what happened. And it's just the fact that like what's so hard like in sports is because it's such a male, obviously dominated sport, NHL hockey. There's so many things that make this difficult, and we need to begin to break down that barrier so it can be easy in the future. Like, there's no room for any sort of like sexual assault towards males or females in any capacity. And when it happens in sports, I think what makes it hard is because it's such a male dominated sport is people don't think that they can either talk about it or they can, bring it to light. So that way this doesn't happen again. And that has to what needs to change. And the fact that there are people that knew about it and they didn't handle it the right way. And that's a shame. And hopefully, moving forward, other teams will see this and, start to put in zero tolerance expectations and policies and standards and processes within the NHL and within their organization. So this doesn't happen, and that players and coaches, training staff, male, female, whatever it is, can be comfortable to talk about if something inappropriate happens. Literally, if you guys haven't read some of that report, read it. It's kind of wild. It's just crazy that shit happens.
It was very eye-opening, and a lot of it was blacked out too due to the graphic content of it and all that stuff. But it was from what I had read, it was a very eye-opening thing to me to see, and props to Kyle Beach for coming out and saying this and coming out and putting this out there, and it's a lesson everyone has to learn. And now you've seen a lot around the league, the ramifications, and you've seen people comment on it, and it's mostly all good things, and it's not, and you just hope that it never happens again. That's all you hope. And what
too, like what the Bruins did was the right thing. You know what I mean? And take away the fact that it was the Bruins, just the fact that Bergeron and the team, and obviously the coaching staff, the front office had, the thought process in place to be like, hey, you know what? We're going to watch this interview for a number of reasons. And the tone that's going to set from the top of the organization all the way down to the lower levels of the Boston Bruins. And I'm talking about affiliates, etc. That one, it's about zero tolerance, that's not going to be allowed. And if it does happen, that they're not going to, like, it's going to be okay to talk about it, and they're going to handle it. And that's what I kind of felt like that was what's the case. And the fact that Bergeron, made that important, I think it shows one to the team. It's going to, again, bring the team together from a unity standpoint. These guys are all close in the NHL. They've all played with each other in some capacity. It's like like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, like everybody's somehow attached to someone. Like, so it's just, this shit needs to get out of like sports. Like, sports are supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be the, what's our escape and to entertain us. And instead, when real life is hitting what's supposed to be the escape, like that's where that's got to not happen, because that's not allowed in any regular industry. Any corporation wouldn't allow that, like sexual harassment, sexual assault, like that's not allowed. It's not even allowed in society. Like, so I don't know, like the NHL's got to clean this up. Gary Bettman needs to act the appropriate way with this investigation, and then put in the proper guidelines. And if they're obviously there, enforce them, and let the league know that this is not going to be tolerated. So if it happens again, this is how it's going to be handled. The second that this investigation opened, that any of these people who were tied into it was able to continue to do their job, is a fucking travesty. That dude should never be behind the bench. Get the distraction out of there. This is such a giant black eye for a league that just started their season. And now the Penguins have their own crap that's starting up with, I think I just read with Bill Guerin. And now that's going to start up.
Yeah.
So Gary Bettman, you know what I mean? Like, if he can weather this and do the right thing and come out with his job, good for him. Because I don't see that's going to happen. Especially if one more thing leaks out there. I know Gary Bettman didn't really do anything, but that's why he's going to probably lose his job. That's why people on Twitter who have check marks, who are someone within someone in the sport, are saying that he should go. It's time to make a change. So as more details come out, and if it was known that it was known on a broader level from executives in the NHL, Bettman will be lucky if he lasts to the All-Star break.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'll say this really quickly again, Chris, because you made a good point. And this, everyone's tied to everyone. Players across the NHL are tied to, each other through coming up through juniors, coming up through high school, college, whatever it may be. They're tied to each other some way, shape, or form. You think it stops with the players? You think the players are the only ones that are tied together?
Oh,
you think the executives in other organizations didn't have wind of this? I don't know what, you guys, I haven't heard anything about the Pittsburgh stuff yet. So that's news to me. And
we won't touch on that, but it goes down to the AHL, because as soon as it happened, he was in the AHL and he was sent down to the AHL, and then he was called up at the back end of that 2010 season. And he was part of the team during the championship run there. You're exactly right. It's not just through the players, it's through the executives, it's through the higher ups of the executives. It goes through the league office at this point.
More heads are going to roll. There's
going to be a lot of heads that are going to roll.
Are going to start coming out, I think.
And there's a reason why we have claimed Gary Bettman as probably one of the worst commissioners out of the four that there are right now. And that's all we'll talk about on that. It was,
which is a shame too, because Gary Bettman was really kind of changing that narrative.
Yeah.
Remember, every time the Stanley Cup would come out, and it's the final, they're going to hoist the cup up, and he would get booed.
Yeah,
that was starting to change for him. The league grown. They're at 32 teams now. They've tried so many different things from the All-Star perspective to get people to be interested and wanting to tune in and just trying to different reach with the fans and everything else. So Bettman was growing the game.
Exactly. He's done a good job at
he's doing exactly
what pandemic during all this, keeping the fans interested, keeping the fans coming back, keeping them engaged. And
they made the bubble fun.
I'll put it this way as my final take on Bettman. I agree with Chris, was kind of changing it. And the way I view the commissioners of the four major sports, Goodell is a clown. He was the worst. He was, Jesus, just don't be like Goodell. Well, Bettman just looked at Goodell and said, I'm going to get on this rocket ship and blow right by you. So, this dude needs to be canned yesterday.
It's not, it's definitely not the end of this whole thing. And a lot of heads are going to roll, like you guys said. Now I want to close out the show. We have obviously, we got 3 games ahead of us for the Bruins to look at, and I want the hot takes. And Chris, I gave you the last 2 off. If you're wrong on this one, it's going to happen. I'm sorry, you've gotten 2 passes.
Every once in a while, the house wins the casino, right? So, initially I did say 2-1, then I reverted back and said 3-0. But I got 1 when we go around. You
got 1? Okay. So it won't hurt you as bad if you get it terribly wrong. You'll only get 2 minutes on the box, so that won't be too bad. So we're looking at the next set of games before our next episode releases, which is next Wednesday. We record next Tuesday. So we started off on Thursday when they host the Red Wings. I believe they lost. They are the team that lost to Montreal today. They will then be heading north of the border to play at Toronto on Saturday. And then they'll have a little bit of a break after that, and they'll play the Senators on Tuesday when we are recording, or it might be over by the time we're done, by the time we start recording. But regardless, those are the 3 set of games. We got the Red Wings, Toronto, and the Senators. Toronto, we get to see old friend Nick Ritchie and old friend Andre Kasha. Nick Ritchie, who has been, he lasted about 2 weeks on the first line, and now he's just buried in that depth chart now. Not shocked there. Just like his brother Brett, he is going to be a ghost here pretty soon. I'm going to start with you, Chris. Prediction, hot take, whatever you want to give for these next 3 games coming up. I don't want to say they're easy, but they're the Senators aren't that good. Toronto is pretty good right now, and the Red Wings are surprisingly good right now. Actually, surprisingly, they're pretty good.
So first off, Nick Ritchie and first line are 2 things that should never go together. So let's just be real with that. That's one of these things not like the other.
We never expected that in our lifetimes to see Nick Ritchie in that front line now.
So that's one. Really, I still think that Patrice Bergeron's got to get going. He's got to start to get it going. So, I'm going to look for Patrice Bergeron to make an impact over the course of these next 3 games coming up. So I think they need that. Hot take prediction, though, is Nick Foligno is going to score a goal, and in the post-game press conference, going to be pounding some candy corn post-Halloween. The candy corn is the Boston Bruins laundry cart for the rest of the season. That is what they're going to continue to use to build their camaraderie in the locker room. So Foligno is going to score, and he's going to pound down some candy corn, and that is going to continue for the remainder of the season.
You think if he scores a game-winning goal, fans are just going to throw candy corn on the ice?
I think that I don't advocate that, but I think that we should 100. If you actually watch the YouTube, people, if you watch the YouTube click, you'll see me nodding yes. Let's go. What's the team that throws the octopus? Is it
the octopus is?
What is it? The Red Wings.
The Red Wings is the octopus.
A blank. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go, Boston.
And then the fish.
Let's go. Throw candy corn on the ice. Let's go. Get a hat trick. Throw the corn out there.
And Seattle does the fish for the 3 stars. You get to chuck fish into the crowd if you're one of the 3 stars, which is very weird, but you get a free fish if you catch it. Kevin,
nice little catch the fish and then go to the bars after the game. That's going to work out.
Yeah. Kevin, what is your what is your hot take and prediction for these 3 upcoming games for the Bruins?
Yeah, I thought Chris was going to steal mine there for a minute. But, I'll just say my kind of expectations for these 3 and what I looked at these next 3 games. Initially, gut reaction was 3-0. You should go 3-0. These teams stink. This should be a good 3-0, get 6 points, and move on. Take the points where they're giving you and go forward. Use these 3 games to tie up some stuff you've been working on in practice and go from there. Then my educated reaction is, oh, wait a minute. These teams are actually kind of okay. They kind of are holding their own right now. Some might say that 2 out of the 3 are better than the Bruins right now. So nothing to sleep on. These 3 are still show up, take care of business. 2 of them are above us in the standings, and the third is 2 points below us. So they're all right in our neck of the woods. And I think this is the 3 games where you need to separate yourself from these 3, because when you look at the Red Wings and the Senators, you don't want to be in the conversation with the Senators. That's just kind of, that doesn't go hand in hand. So you want to separate yourself from them for sure. But yeah, you need 3 wins here. I think they go 3-0, and back to my point of, thought Chris was going to steal steal my thunder for a minute. But Patrice Bergeron's going to find the goal column, and he's going to find it in a big way. And over these next 3 games, he's going to have 4 goals.
I hope. Oh, that might be 5 minutes in the box if you're terribly wrong.
But hey, when he finds it, he gets hot.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, totally.
So it's kind of like once one goes, another 2 or 3 are close behind.
And you're facing most likely Nedeljkovic on Thursday. You're probably going to face Murray on Saturday, and you're most likely going to face Campbell on Tuesday. Or no, sorry, vice versa there. Nedeljkovic on Thursday, Campbell on Saturday, and then Murray on Tuesday. And we three well-known names, and we'll see how it goes. And obviously,
I mean, all 3 of these teams, the Red Wings, 34 goals are allowed, the Senators 30, and who am I missing? Toronto has 29. So it's you can find the back of the net against these guys, and if there was someone to do it, Bergeron is more than capable.
Definitely. Well, that is going to wrap up this episode of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast, episode number 7. We will be back next Tuesday. Once again, we are brought to you by Couch Guy Sports, sponsored by Shocked Energy. Head over to shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. Once again, that's shockedenergy.com, using that promo code CGSN for 10% off your order. Hopefully, Bruins can go 3-0. Hopefully, the Bruins can take 2 out of 3. Whatever, as long as they take some sort of winning record out of this and they can look good, anything can be better than the Celtics right now. That's a different podcast.
That's a whole other show.
That's a whole that takes a whole show to talk about. We won't worry about that today. But I'm Jeff Hope. That's Kevin Perdios. That's Chris Henrique. We will see you guys next week. Have a great week, guys.
Peace.